So some things to consider in your design. I've just done a few bullet point things here. I've touched on a few of them. So things like obviously layout of a space is really important. Thinking about who's using the space, because you will do different things, or you might set things up differently if you've got children using a bathroom, for example, versus some elderly parents. So it's important to work through what that looks like. Things like first impressions. So when you look through a door, what's the first thing that you will see? Often with a bathroom, for example, it's not always possible to do it, but they do recommend that you don't have a toilet in visual of the doorway when you first walk in. But for some layouts, it just doesn't work and the toilet has to be where it needs to be. Things like lighting and mirrors are so important, especially when you're doing a renovation and thinking about where you need to place certain items. Sometimes actually where you can get wiring to is a consideration as well. So just working through that stuff. Mirrors can obviously do a lot of light reflection if they're placed in the right place, so they can help bring natural light and natural ambience, which is great. There's so many material choices, so many colors. And so I think either using a color consultation specialist to help with your choices, or using an interior designer, or for me, I love playing with colors and textures and things like that. So I'm always happy to help guide people in terms of what that would look like. So, but it's also thinking about things that are practical. So depending on where you live, depending on where the property is based. So for example, if you're coastal and you're doing some indoor-outdoor flow, you're going to need to use some materials that are suitable for salt air, etc. Practical storage is a huge thing, and I guess it's one of my things when you're renovating. Often it's because you need more storage, you need more space, and just thinking about clever ways to introduce storage into a home, I think is important. There seems to never be quite enough space for that sort of thing. So the heights of fixtures and fittings. So I touched on that a little bit with vanity heights, for example, but also mirrors. So heights of mirrors can make a difference. The height of the person who's living in the house can make a difference. So I've had quite a few clients who are quite petite. We've adjusted the height of the vanities and the mirrors, etc., so that it works for them from a practical point of view. Things like drawers versus doors. So drawers in kitchens and bathrooms, in entertainment units, anywhere you can put drawers versus doors are fantastic, because it means that you can access spaces that you typically wouldn't be able to reach into. We're just working with a client at the moment, and they've got quite a large vanity. It's about equivalent of 4 doors long. So I don't know, it's maybe about 1,500 long, and it's jam-packed with stuff. But the thing is, they can't get to anything at the back of that. And so they, when they started going through it, they're finding all of this expired stuff. So same in a pantry. We had another client, everything was in the back of this pantry and they couldn't get to it. So now that they have drawers and pull-out pantries, it means that they can always be aware of what's there and rotating through, food and medicines and all that kind of stuff. So also saves your back. So, if not having to faucet down low into getting into the backs of cupboards, doing yoga on the way. So your plumbing and electrical planning, we do this early on as well, especially the electrical planning and actually mapping out in a drawing where power points need to be, where things might need to change. If you've got mirror lights going in, if you've got ambient lighting going in, does it need dimmers on it? Do you want to take advantage of Bluetooth connections for lighting and so on? So going through that process early on will also help you determine what you need, and therefore that's going to lead through to being able to get more accurate quotes, but also end up with items in the right place. So, plugs near your vanities for toothbrush charging, for example, and razors, all sorts of things in your kitchen for your appliances. And also, if there's anything that gets triggered that's going to require council requirements, then you're going to know that early on, and you'll be able to make the choice as to whether you want to continue on down that road and going through to council and making those applications, because then you're going to need a different set of requirements and a different level of cost involved. Or whether you take the opportunity then to say, well, actually, we don't want to go through to council and add on that additional cost. What other options have we got that might get us to a similar point and that we would be happy with?